Y'all listen, God is releasing his oil upon the faithful, okay? How do I know this, y'all? In prayer today, God reminded me through his Holy Spirit in prayer about Samuel. Y'all remember how God told Samuel to go down to Jesse's house and anoint one of Jesse's sons so that he may replace Saul as king. Samuel gets to Jesse's house, right? Tells Jesse why he's there. Jesse then lines up all of his sons of those who he deems to be qualified to replace Saul, right? And as he's lining them up, Samuel is looking at them saying, yes, one of these will replace Saul. And after Jesse finished lining up those sons that they deemed qualified, what made them think that they were deemed qualified? They looked the part. They had the stature. They were men of valor, men of war. The hair was right. They had the right countenance and appearance. They just looked the part. And so Samuel was saying, yes, one of these will be the ones. So Samuel approached each and every last one of Jesse's sons that Jesse had lined up. He tilted the vessel to pour the oil to anoint. Guess what? The oil did not flow on any of them. Samuel then began to question God, scratch his head, and say, God, now I know I'm a true prophet of yours, and I know your voice, and I know you told me to come down here to Jesse's house to anoint one of his sons. Now here are his sons, and the oil ain't flowing on any of them. What's going on, God? God replied to Samuel, y'all, man looketh on the outward appearance, but I look on the inward parts at the heart. And when God spoke that to Samuel, what happened? Samuel then looked at Jesse and asked him, hey, is there another son? Do you by any chance have another son? And when Samuel asked Jesse that, you can imagine the looks on the faces of Jesse's sons that he had lined up and on the face of Jesse. They looked a certain kind of way. Why? Because the only one that was left was the one that they said was not going to be it, do it, or have it. The only one that was left was the one that they said was nothing. The one that they said wasn't strong enough. The one that they thought wasn't worthy enough. The one that they devalued. The one that they said there's nothing to you. There's nothing great about you. Nothing special about you. And because they thought this of that one, they put that one in a position to herd sheep, to shepherd sheep. They put him in a low position, not in a state of a valid man. They put him in a state to be around sheep poop, sheep urine, to be dirty and nasty in the mud, all kinds of stuff, to be around poison ivy. They just put him in the wilderness with the sheep, y'all, counting him out to be a nobody. All because they could not see the greatness in him. Let me tell y'all something. When God has greatness for your life that he is going to birth forth out of you, God will indeed allow people around you to not see you. In other words, God will allow you to be hidden right in plain sight. That's why you find yourself asking, why don't they see my value? Why do they treat me like this? Right? That's what happened to David. They didn't see value in him. So they put him in a low position a position where David did not look like a threat to them. That's what God would do to protect you, because God knows the greatness inside of you. If people knew the greatness that God had in you to birth forth, oh, they would be threatened. And if they are threatened, that means they will try to sabotage you. They can't sabotage God's greatness. They can't kill or destroy God's greatness, but they can try to sabotage and destroy and kill you, so that you won't be able to be the vessel to birth forth the greatness that God has purposed for your life. So what will happen, y'all? God will hide you from your husband. He will. He will hide you from your wife. He will hide you from your children. He will hide you from your siblings, from your mama, from your daddy, from your friends, from your co-workers, from your boss. He will hide you from people, places, and things, so that they will not have access to sabotage or destroy you. In other words, to hinder you from birthing the greatness that God has purposed for your life. So that's what God allowed. But little, listen carefully, it's going to be a long one, y'all. Little did they know, y'all, that when they put David out there with the sheep, they put him in a low place. Can I tell y'all something? Anytime you find yourself in a low place, in something that looks like a hardship, in a dungeon, in a dark place, it is there to help you to be in a state of humility. Any low place you find yourself in, it's a space to help you to be in a state of humility, to get you to be in a state of humbleness. Why? Because God said those that are humble, he will do what? Exalt them. And when God exalts you, that means he is pleased with you. And that lets you know that when you're in a state of humility, that means you also are in a space of faithfulness. God says this, that those who are faithful over a few things, he will make them ruler over many, over much. That's why it is that when you're in the low place and God allows you to become humble, have some humility in it, you're able to become faithful, which means what? Now you're pleasing God, and therefore God will make you ruler. He's not only just going to exalt you, he'll exalt you and make you ruler over many, over much. So God said it is impossible to please him without faith. When you're in a low place, it is to birth forth humility, humbleness, therefore bring forth faithfulness, and therefore God will exalt you. He'll pull down one and raise up another. And so here we are getting back to what God did. He allowed Samuel to ask Jesse and them, is there another son? And reluctantly they said what? Yes. Here come David. He don't look the part. He most certainly ain't smelling the part. He has not the statue. He has sheep poop and urine all over him. He dirty from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet, but the inside of him is pure and faithful. And Samuel approaches David, and everybody's eyes are like this. Like, no way. It ain't gonna flow. He can't be the one. This can't happen. No, say it ain't so. That's what's running through their minds. Fear, grievance. Yes, they feel in a certain kind of way because they see Samuel lifting up that vessel, exalting that horn, and he begins to tilt it. And before you know it, the oil begins to flow. And now all of them are like, he gonna be the king. Now he's gonna be over us. God said he will make your enemies your footstool. He will put you on his rock, and your head shall be lifted up above your enemies, right? So God is saying now that he has called forth the oil to be poured on his faithful ones, those who were put in a position that was not right, that was low. And when you were placed in that position, you chose to be humble and to be faithful in it. And God saw your faithfulness. And now the oil is flowing. You have been exalted. God has pulled down one, and he has raised you up in their stead. And the sad thing is for some of y'all, that those that counted you out, now that God is allowing this greatness to come up out of you, to be birthed up out of you, those who counted you out, they won't have access to your greatness now. Some of them won't have access to your greatness. They won't. God will separate them now to where they will no longer be in your territory. They will no longer be in your space. And there will be some that realize, oh, I really messed up. God, please don't take them out of my life. Now I know the treasure that you have blessed me with. Lord, please let me stay in the presence of you, therefore being in the presence of them. They'll pray and say, Lord, please let me stay. Don't remove me. Don't take them from me. I now realize that they are a jewel, that they are a diamond, that they are precious, that they are yours. And God will allow them to stay in your life. But there will be some that God will just pierce and divide asunder. They will no longer have access. They will only be able to look at you from afar with the crown on your head, calling you queen, calling you king, calling you, in other words, the son, the daughter of God, the servant of God. Seeing God's greatness, his light, rest upon your head as a crown, in other words. I hope y'all got this. God said he is pouring out his oil on the faithful. Don't be weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap if ye faint not. I love y'all. Most of all, Jesus loves you too. You're about to be exalted. Receive it. God got you. He sees your faithfulness. He shall make you ruler over many, over much. Y'all be blessed.